Hello guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space and welcome to my channel. So today in the shop, I decided that I wanted to try my hand at making an overbed table. My wife bought a cheap one that folds up from Amazon, and she asked me if I wanted one. And I told her no, but then I see her using it in the night with her M1 Mac, tinkering about, and I felt like maybe I can increase my productivity as far as with my video editing if I was to make my own little overbed table. Now, I did this build in one session. So I just kind of came home one evening. I can't remember if this was on the weekend or on the evening, but I just jumped on the project and just started making this. I didn't draw anything out. I didn't plan the design. I use these projects as just a way to get more familiar with my tools. As you guys know, I have a wide variety of tools, and because I don't work in the building industry, I really have to make a concerted effort to get familiar with my tools so that I can become more proficient with them. As you can see here, I'm using my domino. I'm just tinkering around with that. I haven't used it in a while, so I'm a bit rusty while using it. And one of the things that I found was like when I was trying to plunge, if you don't have it perfectly centered, then the piece, when you put it together, it can only go in one direction for it to be somewhat flush. Otherwise, you either have to do some sanding to make it flush or whatever. So that's not ideal. And in this project, I didn't get it quite how I would want it to be, but it's the muscle memory that I have to develop over time to get better at this. So I like doing projects like this, especially when I can see it all the way through to the end, not as a perfect prototype, but basically as just me being able to start a project and then work my way through the different steps, touching different tools and getting more familiar with how they function. One tool that I wish that I would have picked up when I had the opportunity was the Festool Vaxis system. I think it was about maybe about $1,200 or something like that. And it's a vacuum clamping mechanism. I wish I would have picked that up. I didn't have any idea that it was no longer going to be sold in America. However, you do also have to consider the fact that even if I would have bought it, being that it is no longer sold, I am sure that Festool would have honored their warranty of 3 years and 10 years of parts, but you can't go buy it anymore. So unless I would have bought the whole setup with all the bells and the whistles, there would have been a high chance that even if I would have bought the base set, I wouldn't have been able to add any additional components to it. One of the things that I've looked at as an alternative, there's a company, I think I want to call it the Vac Store or Vacu Store or something like that. And they make vacuum press type machines that you use for veneering. And you could buy an accessory that has vacuum pods so that you can get that type of functionality. It's not 100% like the Festool version of it, but it does give you some vacuum clamping, which would be kind of cool. I also saw online there's this guy, he built a Festool Vaxis clone. He didn't go into deep detail about how he was pulling the suction or what he was using as a pump, but he did make plans for developing this version of the Vaxis that kind of looks like it. He made it out of wood. I actually bought those plans, however, I haven't built it yet. I've been doing a little bit more research looking at other people's vacuum clamping situations, or basically their solutions rather, and trying to determine what would be best for my shop. Obviously, since Festool has this system approach, everything kind of works together. So when you kind of bolt something on top of it, it's not quite as innovative. Now, obviously, if you put a lot of thought into it and a lot of time into it, you can make it innovative for yourself. But then that could require a whole lot of extracurricular skills and or tools in order to get to that point when sometimes you have to weigh out what's better, time or money. Do you want to just pay for the tool, or do you want to try to develop it on your own? And, developing it on your own can be great. It can be rewarding in one aspect, but sometimes you could pour a lot of money into something that's only beneficial to you. And if you don't have the ability to like build it and market it and sell it to other people, sometimes the amount of time, energy, and money that you invest into it may not necessarily be a great investment. I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of moved to purchasing a lot of these higher end tools, is just to get to the end goal quicker. Now, I've heard the saying about the whole 10,000 hour thing, and that basically, in order to become proficient at anything, you need to put in your 10,000 hours. And I have to be honest, I sat down one day and I did the math, averaging, like, let's say if I got an hour a day, Monday through Friday, and then even if I was spending several hours on the weekend, it would be a long time before I got those 10,000 hours in. It was quite depressing, to be quite honest. However, I look at my life. I don't gamble. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't party. Just a family guy. And I already have a profession of which I make a decent living to take care of my family. So it's not a requirement for me to be using these tools and or this type of skill to make a living for my family. So in one aspect, you could kind of look at that as hobby-ish, but then it does come back around on the other end, and the benefit of having a YouTube channel and being able to make a video about whether it be a tool purchase or minor builds that I'm doing, it gives me the opportunity to reduce the cost of the tools that I purchase. But then at the same time, as I'm working with my tools and becoming a little bit more familiar with them, it also gives me the ability to manage and maintain a home a little bit more efficiently and effectively. I can fix small items and repair things and do things that, before I didn't have the access or the ability to do. I may not be a professional and I may not be good at these things. However, when you live more of I guess, a simplistic life, I'm not a person that's really trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm kind of on my own little island doing my own thing. And so it gives me the opportunity to take some of the money that I made and invest it in ways that I see as beneficial to myself and my family. Things I mentioned many times before, I really take pride in being able to work on my car, even though I may not be a full blown mechanic and be able to take an engine apart and put it back together again. I can fix some things, and same thing. I may not be able to build a home from scratch or do everything in every trade up to a professional level. But what I can do is I can actually fix this and that here and there. And so it's very rewarding, and it also cuts down on me having to call in a professional to take care of more low hanging fruit things. And it also saves me disappointment for when you do hire a professional and you unfortunately get the wrong professional that doesn't necessarily take the most pride in their work. I mean, it's great if you hire a professional and they take pride in their work and they do a great job for you. But if you just happen to run into one of those professionals that doesn't take pride in their work, then, it's a lot of money to spend when you don't get the results that you're actually looking for. Getting back to the project here, so what I was trying to do is just, every time I come in the shop and I get the time to work in the shop, I try to touch as many tools as I possibly can. And I do know that I need to get a lot better at planning. I may go back to doing the SketchUp thing. I don't know. It's something I had to talk to my wife about, because I feel like, for the year that I had the SketchUp, I feel like it was kind of wasted money for me because I didn't really get out of it much of anything. Now, I could go and start tinkering with the free version and see if I can develop some kind of proficiency that would warrant me going back to the paid version. But we'll have to see. And I've talked myself into thinking that I can, just draw out my designs and so on and so forth. But I'm not an artist, number one. And number two, it's easy to say something. It's not necessarily as easy to really do it. So all of that part is a work in progress. To me, I think looking at everything overall, I need to figure out how to become a lot more streamlined and efficient, because I am spread pretty thin with all my different responsibilities and interests. I work 40 hours a week on my job. So I have the time that I go to work and the time that I come home from work. take that amount of time and then add that to the actual time that I'm at work. So I have to subtract that out of my day. I have to also subtract some time for sleep and some time for interacting, with the wife and kids. And that leaves very little time left over, of which I'm taking that time and trying to splice it out into working on the car, doing maintenance around the home, maintaining the yard, and other things like that. These are things that I have to work on day in and day out. And I'm trying to come up with that perfect formula. And I may have mentioned in a previous video, I also need to start going back in the gym room, working on my Bowflex, running on the treadmill, and trying to see if I can maintain the highest level of health that's possible for myself. I have been on a strict diet, which has helped me in some aspects, but physical health, as far as resistance training, different things like that, are always helpful to get yourself where you need to be as far as just mental and physical health. So during this project, the compressor that I took back, the M18 compressor, it started to fail. And I noticed that it wasn't driving the nails and it wasn't filling up properly. I didn't notice it directly at that time. I just thought that, oh, maybe I'm moving a little bit too fast. But I ended up switching to my battery powered nail guns. And then later on in the week, when I went to work on the cars, when it was confirmed that the battery powered compressor was only going up to 40 psi and not able to hold the air inside of the cylinder. So here you see me using my multi-tool, you see me using my various nail guns. I decided to throw some trim on here so it didn't have sharp edges. This is just like some round over mold that I had in the shop. And at first I was just going to put the round over mold on the front, but then I was like, well, I think I have enough. I just wrapped it all the way around. Now I could have went ahead and did some miter cuts, the 45-degree, but I was just rushing through this project because I wanted to just see if it would function the way that I wanted to function. In the end, the project didn't work out as expected. I made it a little bit too long on the right hand side so that the table would tilt when I have it on the bed. So I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and work on it. Hello guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space. And today I'm at lunch from work and I'm in the car. I'm trying something new. So I'm using my iPad mini to try to record this video, and we're gonna see what kind of quality it is. And this is me trying to add more content to my channel, and then also learning how to utilize the tools that I already have to help me to be better at making that content. So I did subscribe to the DaVinci Resolve, so apparently I should be able to use DaVinci Resolve to edit this video on this tablet. However, I like being in the Mac ecosystem because I can easily airdrop this video when I'm done to my laptop, which I have right here. I have my M1 13-inch MacBook, which I have definitely enjoyed owning. Can't really game much on it, but what it does give me the ability to do is to really dig deep when it comes to doing this video editing, especially on the go. It has great battery life, so on and so forth. Anyways, jumping right into it because I don't have that much time. I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the M18 Fuel Pack Out 9-gallon dual battery dust extractor with vac link that has been announced at Milwaukee Pipeline? Now, my question about that is, would you be willing to pay $1,399 for a Milwaukee Pack Out vacuum? Personally, it looks like it's a pretty good vacuum. Let me just go over the specs real quick. It's 40.5 pounds. The length is 27.7 inches. The width is 16.7 inches. It's 19 inches tall. It has a HEPA filter. It's cordless and it's brushless. It's on the M18 platform, obviously, and it is fuel. Now, some other things to note about this particular vacuum: it's obviously 9-gallon, and it does have the ability to be able to be powered by M18 batteries or an AC cord, so you can have continuous runtime. So the water lift or the suction capacity is 175 for corded, and I think it's like 125 or something when you use the battery power. Let me see if I can get that specification pulled up here. Okay, so yes, it is confirmed. So the Power State brushless motor delivers 125 CFM on two M18 batteries and 175 CFM when it's plugged in. Now, that's running two of the forged 12 amp hour batteries according to the literature here. It runs 41 minutes continuously for, I guess that's on the main suction power. And then if you're going to go with the long or extended runtime, it can go up to 78 minutes in max runtime mode. Now, this set includes the Milwaukee M18 pack out dust extractor with vac link. It comes with the wireless remote control. It has the HEPA filter kit, a 10-foot anti-static hose, a hose clip adapter, power tool adapter, a table saw adapter, which that's a nice inclusion. You could use that with your M18 table saw. And it also has a fleece dust bag and a plastic dust bag. So overall, it seems like and it's a 32 millimeter hose. So it's a 32 millimeter by 10-foot anti-static hose, just to bring that information to light. Now, something that me personally, so $1,399 for a vacuum is quite a bit of money. Now, if you remove those two forged batteries from the kit, that probably brings it down to around $799. That's assuming that the forged batteries are around $250, $260 a piece, and you're getting two of them in the kit. So that brings it down to around $799, and that right there puts it below Festool's CT48 and the CT36 for that matter as far as price. But when you add those batteries in, it puts it well above Festool's battery powered vacuum. Now, the reason why I'm pulling Festool into this conversation is because Milwaukee just a few years ago, 2 maybe 3 years ago, just released a whole lineup of a 6, 9, and 12 gallon shop vac, basically. So I guess you could say a dust extractor and a shop vac are two different things, but they kind of do similar things. The dust extractor is better about dust extraction. However, they're kind of function in the same way because this dust extractor can be used with water. It has water sensors inside of it to cut off when you fill it up. So those other shop vacs that were released, you have the 6 gallon, the 9 gallon, the 12 gallon. The 12 gallon model with the two 12 amp hour batteries would set you back $799. That's, in my opinion, that's a lot of money for a shop vac. I did consider getting it because I do own a Ryobi shop vac. Now, with that Ryobi shop vac, the button that turns it off and on kind of got busted. It does function, but, I only have 2 Ryobi batteries in the shop, and I don't really plan on doing too much more investing in Ryobi tools. At least that's kind of like where I'm leaning. So it doesn't really make sense for me to acquire more Ryobi tools or more batteries. So I'm more interested in advancing my Milwaukee collection as opposed to my Ryobi collection. Currently, I think I have more Ryobi tools, but I don't use them nearly as much as my collection of Milwaukee tools. So if I was to buy any more tools going forward, it would more than likely be from that tiered brand. It would be either Milwaukee, Makita, or DeWalt. It won't be Ryobi. So that being said, it made sense to me to maybe move towards the Milwaukee shop vac, which I considered, but I didn't pull the trigger. I did read some of the reviews. Some people said that there were some durability issues that they had concerns with. They also mentioned that it's quite pricey. The shop vac has a motor head with a cord. So if you buy that, then you can run it continuously. Now, the one benefit to the shop vac is the fact that you have multiple heads. You have a single battery head, a dual battery head, and then also a corded head. All of those are separate. So you could go right at the top of the stack and buy the $799 model with the 2 batteries. But then you would have to pay another $200 for a whole nother motor head in order to have continuous power through AC. It doesn't have an adapter to do both for that particular unit. And so The only thing that I like about it is the fact that if you bought the bigger one, you could just go and purchase the smaller containers, the 9 and the 6, and it would run fine. The thing is, where are you going to store all that if you do actually go in that direction? And then the other thing, especially if you buy the motor head, where are you going to, you're going to just hang it up on the wall, put it out of the way, or are you going to just buy two and just have the motor head on one and the dual battery on the other, or the single battery on another? Those are options that you could do, but that just takes up a lot more space in your shop. And I don't know about you, but for me, my shop is limited in space. The other thing about the shop vac that they had before, it didn't have any kind of remote start. So basically you had to go over and physically turn the device on and off. And that means that in theory, you could use it with the Milwaukee track saw. But even though you can use it with the Milwaukee track saw, when you activate the tool, it's not going to activate the vacuum. So you're going to be turning on both tools. So that leads to shorter run time, in my opinion, because with Festool and other brands like Makita, when you activate the tool, the vacuum kicks on and then it kicks off automatically. Whereas you make a cut with the Milwaukee track saw and then later, you go over to turn the machine off, or you turn the machine on, the vacuum on, and then you go and make your cut. Now, if you have the vacuum right there, it's easy enough to do, but it's semantics there. The thing that I find kind of interesting about this particular setup is the shop vac that they created does not have any form of pack out functionality, which I thought was a huge miss. But now I understand why. The fact that they would come out maybe 2-3 years later with this particular dust extractor that has pack out functionality, it's kind of like, almost like a double dip if you really want to get down to it. And the fact that it has the vac link built in, that's a good feature. I do applaud Milwaukee for putting that feature in. However, in their pipeline event with the upcoming tools, I believe there's only one sander that's going to be released with VacLink installed in the tool. That means that that's the only tool, and I believe it's a sander. That's the only tool that's going to turn that vacuum on and turn it off, similar to Festool and Makita. Now, what about those people that bought the Milwaukee track saw? After waiting all these years, they bought a track saw that didn't have any ability to activate the vacuum. And now they're going to come out with a vacuum that has that functionality. Now, reading the specs on this particular vacuum, there appears to be a dongle very similar to the FlexVolt vacuum that has a dongle to turn it off and on. You would be able to do that. However, it's not quite as a premium design as opposed to having it built into the tool. So I could imagine Milwaukee doing just what Makita did and coming out later with another version of the track saw that has VacLink built in. It's just another way, to hit your pockets. So not super impressed about that. However, I'm not going to lie. So before I started going down the Festool pathway as far as purchasing tools, I was highly interested in building out my Milwaukee collection. And honestly, in the beginning, it was kind of like Milwaukee, DeWalt. It was a coin flip. I had more Milwaukee tools. However, when I watch reviews on things like the grinder, when I watch reviews on things like the cutoff tool, people would complain about those tools overheating by comparison to their DeWalt counterparts, their DeWalt FlexVolt counterparts. And that's what kind of led me to get some tools. Like I bought a FlexVolt grinder as opposed to buying a Milwaukee grinder, because I was afraid that if I bought the Milwaukee grinder, if it started to kind of power off, or if it, destroyed, like say 12 amp hour batteries or whatever, if the tool shuts off a lot because of overheating, then the value is not there by comparison to if the DeWalt, in fact, has longer run time because it doesn't power off the tool. It's a conversation to be had, because when you think about it, Milwaukee has a wide range of tools, right? They actually have I think it's a larger diameter grinder. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, it's either 6 or 9 inches, something like that. It's a bigger diameter grinder. I'll try to link it right here in the video when I go home and do some more research. But that grinder is not offered on the DeWalt platform. DeWalt has the FlexVolt, but Milwaukee has the bigger diameter grinder. So in theory, if you wanted the bigger diameter, you would want to go with Milwaukee. But if you're concerned about the tool cutting off and shutting off, and this is obviously on the previous batteries, I don't have any forged batteries in my shop, so I can't compare one to the other. I'm going to go ahead and go with the DeWalt because I want the tool to actually work. Now, I was on the fence a long time ago because I've been on this tool bandwagon of buying tools for a while. I bought the Milwaukee cutoff tool for $599. I believe I've shared that a long time ago on this channel because I needed those two 12 amp hour batteries because I had purchased my 12-inch miter saw and my M18 table saw bare tool in a combo. So those tools, I got them essentially for $500 a piece because I bought them together. It's like $999. So I didn't get a battery. So what I did, instead of buying the kitted table saw and the kitted miter saw, because the kitted miter saw is like $799. It comes with two 12 amp hour batteries. And the kitted table saw, I want to say it's like $599. I don't know if it comes with one or two batteries. I'm not sure. So instead of buying it like that, I bought the two tools together. And then I got my 12 amp hour batteries buying the cutoff tool. That's the only reason why I bought that cutoff tool, because when I watched a lot of reviews, the cutoff tool that Milwaukee has seems to have that shutoff issue. Now, I have never pushed it to make it do that, but in the reviews that I've watched on YouTube, they were able to reproduce that shutoff. And from what I saw, the DeWalt FlexVolt was a little bit more resilient. And that was originally the one that I was going to get. And obviously, before I started buying Festool, if you compare Festool to DeWalt and Milwaukee, Festool is a lot more expensive. So at that time, I was like, you know what? I'll just buy the DeWalt one too. And then what I could do is come back and do videos on both and do a comparison video on my own. But that never came to fruition because basically I ended up moving on to buying a lot of Festool tools. And as a result, that took up a lot of my allowance and my budget. So I haven't been able to circle back to get that DeWalt cutoff tool. And, you know, being honest, I don't have a reason to use a tool like that on a regular basis. But, you know, for those of you who are tool fans like myself, it's still cool tools to have. You know, it's cool to have these fancy tools. That just is what it is. What's your thoughts? Would you be willing to pay $1,399 for a Milwaukee dust extractor? Also, would you feel jaded if you bought the track saw and you could anticipate that they may come out with the track saw later that has vac link in it? Do you feel like it's not as elegant, the fact that this new vacuum comes with a dongle to turn it off and on, but the tool, the vac link feature is not going to be compatible with the track saw you just recently bought? And then the other thing is, what if you bought that shop vac, any one of those shop vacs, the top one, whether it be the 12-gallon all the way down to the 6-gallon, would you feel a little bit jaded if you spent money on that and now you've got this other thing coming down the line? I mean, it's very clear to me that obviously they've conceded that the design that Festool put forth is a decent design, because if you look at this shop vac, or this dust extractor, it looks very similar to like how Festool works, and using their pack out feature is doing the same thing that the T-Stacks do on top of the Festool dust extractor. I do think it's a great option. I think that they're going in the right direction by doing that. I just would like to ask you, especially during these economic times, do you feel like this is good for the customer? Do you think it's good for the consumer? Do you think it's good for Milwaukee users to have to pay that kind of premium, right? Because many people say that Festool's out of their price range. Well, this is a Festool price in my opinion.
Hello guys, and welcome to Daddy Share Space, and welcome to my channel. So today I'm in my home gym, and my gym consists of a Bowflex Blaze, and then we also have a Soul F85 treadmill, and I guess it's a Proform XP exercise bike. Now, I haven't been working out in a long time. It's probably been, consistently for a couple years. Now, I've been on a keto diet for over the last 2 years, which has brought my weight down from about 155 down to 130, 135. I'm running between 130 and 135. So as I'm getting older, I'm gonna be 50 next year, or this coming year, I want to try to incorporate a little bit more healthy behaviors as far as exercise. I want to try to do it daily. I used to do it daily. I used to run every day, and I used to do the Bowflex and stuff like that pretty frequently as well. It's difficult to kind of incorporate that, especially when you work a regular job and then you also have all kinds of other interests. But I think I need to go ahead and try to get back on the horse. Now, today what I'm going to do is I want to see how long this exercise regimen takes. I'm starting bare minimum, so on the Bowflex I'm only going to be rolling with about 25 pounds of weights on all the exercises with the exception of the leg press. And on the leg press, I'm not sure quite yet what I'm going to do on that. But I want to go through all the exercises that are listed here on this on the Bowflex Blaze. And then I'm recording this because I want to kind of time it to see how long it's going to take me. I may do a short session on the treadmill as well. I used to do this running program. I have to look it up online to figure out where it is. It's an exercise program for running when you're older. And it starts off with you basically walking and then jogging, walking and then jogging. And you do that over a period of multiple weeks until you get up to the point to where you can run consistently for, you know, an hour or more. And I did that program multiple times, and I was up to running over an hour and a half on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday. And I've actually flipped this treadmill a couple of times in my day. So I don't know if I'm going to get back to that level because I don't really know if I really have time for an hour a day worth of exercise. I mean, I'm not getting everything that I need to get done now. So my primary focus is simply to, you know, feel a little bit better in my body, get a little bit more energy. And I'm going to start by, you know, timing myself because as it is now, I get up at about 3:45 in the morning every day. So if I can get this, you know, light exercise done in about 15 minutes, just add 15 minutes of exercise a day for now. If I can kind of squeeze everything into that kind of a time frame, then I may just move my wake time to like 3:30, which means I'd have to go to bed a little bit earlier. And then so basically what I would do is I would put my Bible reading from 3:30 in the morning to 3:45. And then my exercise from 3:45 to 4, and then I would go ahead and proceed to get ready for my day and progress like that. Now, usually I don't get up at that time on the weekend. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, my body just seems to know to naturally ignore my alarms on the weekend. But we'll see how this all works out. If I can incorporate this, I'm hoping that it'll overall boost my energy levels and make me feel a little bit stronger in my body and help me to be more productive, maybe a little bit sharper of mind as well. So we'll see. I'm sure it's going to be a lot to add in to my already busy schedule and routine. I'm so far behind on so many different things, but we'll see. So we're going to start the time. Basically, once I start the exercise, once I get everything set up, then we'll go from there as far as the timing. So as I said, I'm going to be switching over to just 25 pounds on everything. This is just kind of a light run to see, you know, I mean, who knows, maybe I can't even keep up with 25 pounds, we'll see. But the goal is just to go through the motions, just light resistance training, and then kind of progress from there and see what happens. So let's give it a shot. All right, so the first 3 bands are, I got 2 10s and a 5. So that's what I'm hooking up. I'm going to take off the lap band here, or the rowing portion. Now, there was 2 different Bowflex machines that I was looking at when I bought this one. The one, it seemed like you could kind of keep everything connected more. You didn't have to switch things around as much. However, it didn't have the rowing feature, and I wanted to go with the rowing feature, so that's why I actually picked this particular machine. If I had to do it again, would I do it? I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I think what I'll do is maybe I'll go ahead and just start with the legs first. Get that done. Well, now let's go in the order of the exercises. So the first thing it wants me to do is the bench press. So I'm gonna slide this up, put this in position, and then we want to grab the little grips and we'll connect it to these portions here. And we got that. And we'll go. All right, ready, set, okay. So I'm just doing 20 reps of each just to kind of warm myself up into this. That's all I'm doing for today. I ain't trying to do any kind of heavy stuff. So from there, the next exercise we're gonna go down. So I'm gonna do the crunches with this. So we'll use the same routine and we'll go with the crunches. Okay, I kind of lost count. I think I did 30. All right, so from there, the exercise down is telling me to do the presses up, or basically shoulder lifts, if you will. I don't know all the technical names for all this. I'm not an athlete. All right, yep, that's what I want to do. I got that 20. So I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of felt that a little bit in my shoulders, probably because I haven't done it in so long. So the next exercise down is basically going to be a pull. So I'm going to sit on the side. I'll do this one first. Definitely a muscle group that I don't use that often because I felt that in my shoulder area. And also this is the shoulder that had surgery on, so it's, you know, been damaged in the past. Okay, that one's done. So now we'll do the curls. All right, 20 of those. And now we want to move to the pull function. Next exercise, we're going to take these off. We'll do a pull down. Alright, that's 20. Next exercise, I'm going to pull these off here. And we'll get this out of the way. Now, I'm going to go out of order on the last one because I am going to continue with the 25 pounds on the leg, I guess you call them leg presses or whatever, and then I'll do the final exercise, which is going to be the, well, leg presses versus like a leg curl, if you will. I'm going to do the leg curl part first, or leg extension. Do the leg extension, then we'll roll on with the leg press. Alright, and the final exercise on this machine so I believe I bumped this machine up to from 210 to 310 if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to do, I believe, the 210 on this to give myself a little bit of a break. So we're doing a 50, a 30, and then that 25. So we got all that on there. And then, yeah, I think we're ready to get this done. All right. So in so many of these exercises, I definitely could have done more than what I did. I'm going to go back and look at the footage and see how long this actually took me and then go from there. But since I got through that relatively easily, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to get on the treadmill and I don't know, maybe see if I can jog for at least 5 minutes straight. We'll see how long it goes. So we're just going to go at 4 and see what that does for us. Alright guys, so I made it through 10 minutes of running and a little bit of 25 pound weight resistance routine, and I'm gonna go edit this video, see how long it took, and see if it's a possibility of me adding this to my AM routine. Thank you guys for taking time to watch the video, and I'll see you in my next one.